On. All right, what's going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to the next episode of the Three Peaks Fitness Podcast. I'm Coach Mark.
I'm Coach Lynette.
And
I'm okay.
And go ahead. Who do we
And
have?
I am Coach Olga Campora.
Yay!
Coach Olga has agreed to join us today. She's going to spit some wisdom. And like I said, previously, Lynette, I'll kind of let you take over. Lynette and Olga,
Okay.
you guys are friends. You go way back, so feel free to give a proper introduction if you will.
Absolutely. All right. I am privileged to have Olga come on our podcast. Olga and I have known each other for many years, and I've admired her for many years for her different teachings in not just the yoga universe, but also in mindset and wisdom and just all around awesomeness. So she has a fascinating story of how she got into yoga, and all of the journey has not ended for her. Like, she just keeps finding new and amazing things to get into over the years. So she's an absolute inspiration to me for what I'm doing right now in my life. And I'm really excited for us to dig in today and talk about what has inspired her and how she helps people. So Olga is, I'll let you share the more details, but Olga is a life coach and what's the technical term? Yoga master?
Yoga therapist.
Yoga therapist. Thank you. Yes. And she is very skilled at it and very gifted. So anyway, Olga, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to let you just tell us a short biography of yourself. Who is Olga Campora, and just any information about your family and your career and your life journey so far.
Well, thank you so much, Mark and Lynette. This is absolutely an honor and privilege to be with you both. I know a little bit about progressive athletics, and I just would like to acknowledge both of you and your team for absolutely a remarkable work you have been doing in our community to elevate people's lives. So I would like to start, with that. Yes, just, as Lynette said in the beginning, I really have started very early, with yoga, thanks to my mother crawling under her when she was doing her downward facing dog when I was about 5 years old. But then later on, I just, really, when I was at university level, I, was interested in yoga, and especially just kind of in both parts, in a physical part, in doing the practice, and also in mindfulness and meditation. And so that has been many moons ago when that didn't happen. But, I got so passionate about it that I, studied also physical education back in the Czech Republic at the Tomáš Garrigue Masaryk University, and that's where my degree in physical education started, and then ended up with a PhD in education, and so that was kind of a start of my life. But then I came to United States, and I really just kind of always have been just connected to my body. It has been something that has been always very important to me, and I would say not only for my physical well-being, but actually for mental, emotional, and even spiritual well-being, because I feel that our bodies are vehicles to our mind and to our spirit, and how we evolve. So to move forward, I've been doing yoga, teaching yoga for over 30 years, and got certified as a yoga therapist here in the United States, and established my space where I really work only on a one-on-one base, basically, and helping people mainly with chronic back pain. But also I have people who come, with high stress level and anxiety. So yoga, covers, those areas as well. And then just talking about life coaching, when the pandemic hit, I really had to rediscover my business, and I would never ever guess that I could be teaching yoga online. But I just realized it's either do or die. And so within a week, I basically reinvented my entire yoga business, And it was the greatest blessings of my life. It really had stretched me in so many different, particles of my business. But it was just fabulous because I realized that, I don't have to have only a local students, but it just suddenly, it became international journey, having people from New Zealand, Australia, France, and Netherlands, and other parts of the world. But when I was going through just kind of this change of my business, I also felt this urge to explore a little bit more just the sense, just how our thinking and mindfulness work. Because as I work with my clients and they suffer with chronic back pain, many times just kind of, and you guys, Mark and Lynette, you can probably just relate to it in the work that you have been doing with your clients, that a lot of it is a physical work that you do with people, just, get them into the equipment, get them move, get them breathe. But I also have realized how really important just kind of the part of their thinking, is involved in the process of their transformation and change. I would have a client that would be, negative and always pessimistic, always bringing just kind of some negative baggage with them. And I realized that was just really a challenge to work with them physically, because they always would say, this is for other people, but not maybe for me, and all these kind of, things going on. And then I would have client who would be really just with a phenomenal mindset. And I could see just kind of, the speed of healing and speed of a progression was absolutely incredible. So I kind of realized there is a connection between thinking and also what we are doing. And so as I got interested into this, I came across a podcast. Like, I hope that people who are listening to today's podcast is going to be transformational for them, that they can, come to progressive athletics and start just kind of transformation in their own lives, right? It happens like that. So I started listening to a different podcast, and I came across one that was, about life coaching. And I just realized, this is what I want to do. And it was really the best investment of just kind of, I have made, financially, as well as just kind of, for me as a person. So today, I really love doing both. I, have been working with people who have physical issues, but I also work with people as a life coach. And what that means, we can expand on it if you guys are interested. I just basically work with people thoughts. That's what I do. So that's in, a nutshell.
Yeah, I really found it fascinating what you said about how the clients that would come in with a negative mindset couldn't make much progress, but the clients that came in with a positive, I can do this, I can learn, with that kind of mindset, made all the difference in what kind of progress they made physically. So I'm really fascinated by that. Did you study more about the mind body connection? Like, do you have more?
Yeah, we can return back to somebody who just kind of came really with what I would call really poor mindset. Okay. Oops, I'm sorry. I hope they can still hear me. Just a second. Technical issues, but we are back. Okay. So, what is more just kind of fascinating is actually work with people who have a poor mindset, and you cannot just change somebody just, thinking from negative to positive. There is a process, right? People just kind of need to understand where it comes from, because a lot of people assume that this is the circumstances of their lives that determine what happens in their lives, meaning, like, okay, just, because my parents were poor, I just will be always poor, or because I broke my leg, this is it, I cannot do anything, or because in my family we had this, issue with the thyroid, I'm doomed, I'm going to have that too. So people many times just kind of, think that the circumstances of the life are the problem. But, if you would just read, people like Baron Katie or Eckhart and other thinkers, you realize, no, actually, it's just the circumstances are not the problem, is what we choose to think about the circumstances that make the whole difference. So you can have two people living in the same household and they die, and you read their diaries, and one of them looks like they lived absolutely a fabulous life, and the other one is just kind of like total disaster. And you are like, how is that possible? So the mindset is really important. And just, the work of a life coach is really help people to understand why they are stuck. What is the thought that is keeping them stuck in the particular area? So if you just, for instance, work with your clients, okay, they come, they want to change, they might be overweight, or they might have, some joint issues, or whatever it is. And you start working with them, but, around the diet, for instance, okay, it's 90% it's about what you choose to think, and 10% is really the diet. As you know, Lynette, you are an expert in that field, okay? So it's just like, why do I have to snack? I snack probably because what we life coaches use, I kind of want to buffer, I want to avoid some thinking, some feelings that are uncomfortable to me. So rather than feeling just uncomfortable, I sit in front of the TVs and just kind of, use, potato chips because it numbs me for that moment. But then afterwards, I feel worse than I was thinking before. And it's so, a lot of people, all of us just kind of, most of the people, they just kind of want to numb their negative feelings. And most of us just kind of, do it with the food. So unless you kind of realize, like, what kind of a feeling is this person trying to avoid? Boredom, anxiety, fear, what is that, and coach them as they discover it, that they work through the process, like, realizing that if this is the worst what you can, go through in your life to process your feeling, nobody died from being anxious or just kind of feeling bored, okay? It's just like, having the process, how to, really recognize the feeling, what it is, how to process it, and then just how to move on. Because unless you process, the feeling, you cannot just move on. It's just kind of like pushing a beach ball. You can push it, but one day it becomes so strong that it just kind of ends up in your face, So I don't know if that answers a little bit just kind of, your question, Lynette.
Yeah, I love that. I think a lot of times, even when we intellectually know these things, we kind of default to them as sort of a habit. So yeah, true. The circumstances are not the problem. It's what we think about the problem that's the problem.
Yes. Yep.
Very good. That's awesome.
Things don't happen to us, but things happen for us,
Okay.
I think this is kind of, really important, because a lot of people, this has happened to me, and just kind of course, we can think the whole life that way, but things really happen for us, even though the things that might not be really just, pleasant and good. But, if how to just go through that challenge, some people who have tremendous challenges that they overcame, and they were able just, to create absolutely an incredible life. I was just kind of listening to someone who ran a marathon with torn just, Achilles, and it was really interesting to listen to it. But the thing is, like, there was much higher purpose into what, he wanted to do. He was raising some money for, some poor, children in some sort of part of Africa. And he felt like, I have this last, 3.5 miles or so, and he just was so determined, and he just kind of, was able to finish it, so it's not that I'm saying that people should do that, no, but it's just kind of, I think that, really just the power of thoughts is just, something that is absolutely incredible, because our thoughts can be our best friends or absolutely our worst enemies.
Oh, wow. Yes. That's amazing.
Hey,
Okay.
Olga, I've got a question.
Yep.
So in this modern era, right, with technology, social media, convenience right at your fingertips, right? How can we make sure that we maintain perspective living in this world? Because a lot of the mindset that you were just referring to, I believe comes from, thinking things should be a certain way, thinking things should be spectacular the way they are, online, the way that everyone lives a spectacular life online, or even, like on TV, like everyone's lives are, everything is spectacular, right? And there's no dull moments, which in reality, obviously there are. And I think that can lead people to kind of maybe thinking things should be a certain way that they aren't. So what's one way people can kind of, work through that, maintain some understanding of that, and maybe realize, hey, like maybe the reason why I'm snacking on these potato chips is because I'm feeling bummed out that my life isn't like everyone else's is on social media or on TV.
Right. This is a great question. I love that question, Mark. I think that the way I would answer it is that as I work with people, okay, I realize that if I could heal one single thing in people's minds, is some sort of kind of a combination of a belief, I am not good enough. And it's just, its color can be, I am not smart enough. I am too old. I am not as educated. Whatever it is, there's just simply just kind of some, variation of I am not enough. Okay. And it comes from one place, and that it's comparison. So as we start to just, compare ourselves to anybody else, we either feel better for a second or we feel worse. Like neither pathway is just kind of, really helping us, it's just, I can talk better than she does, so I feel a little bit just kind of, elevated. And then you go somewhere else and you hear somebody else and you realize, well, I'm not as, articulate. I am not as through like this person. So the pain that we, experience, and especially Mark, what you are talking with social media, what happens is we look at these things and it just makes us feel, I cannot never ever be this. I can never ever be as thin. I can never ever just kind of build up, my biceps or my pec muscle, just like this guy. Okay. I don't have that structure of the body, I don't have those genetics or whatever it is. So there is just kind of, that sense of comparing ourselves, and we need to actually heal ourselves from that, because, and the only way to heal ourselves, is to create a healthy relationship with ourselves. Unless I have a really good relationship with myself, meaning this is kind of, for some people, very new kind of, territory, but unless I really love myself, and we are not talking about some narcissism, it's about truly, loving myself in a way. If I love myself, I'm not putting crap into my body because I honor my body to the level that I know that it's not serving my body. Okay. And it can be, or I am not going to just kind of, associate in this just kind of, group of people who are just, putting me down or just are mean or whatever that is, that I honor just kind of the relationship with myself, that I just make decisions that are that when I'm asking, is this something that, I am actually building myself up so that I can be of much better service to people around me? Or am I just kind of, trumping just, all the possibilities which are, within myself?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if, Mark, that is, of course, there could be just kind of, a whole hour, about that. But I think that that's just kind of, really comparison. We just need to completely just, because each of us are so unique. Like there is nobody like Mark. Nobody has the eyes, the sound of the voice, just kind of the way you express yourself, the way you walk, the way you are. Nobody else is. I mean, people can say, oh, Mark, he works a little bit like, like my uncle, or his dad or something, but still, or he has a voice a little bit just kind of like, like my dad or whatever. But it's just kind of, we are unique beings. And unless we just kind of realize that what a great and incredible potential each of us has, and really tap into it, then it's just the whole life is just comparing yourself. So it means that you never, ever will be enough, because somebody else is going to be always, better, according to your things, or worse. So we need to drop that.
Yeah, I really like what you said, especially the comparison aspect, because a lot of times, as a trainer, you'll have people come in and say, oh, I don't know if I can do that, or, I don't know if I have what it takes to, join a group class, or I don't know if I'll be able to do anything, exercise related. And what that tells me is, for every person who comes in and says that, there's, 100 people who don't come in because they feel that way. But it makes sense what you're saying, because they've decided they're, in their minds, incapable of something, because they are probably comparing themselves to what they've seen, or their perception of, what fitness looks like, what health looks like, what an exercise class looks like. And they don't feel like they're capable of it.
And I think that's an excellent and brilliant point you are making, because that's where the power of you, Mark, as a coach comes in. That you just talk to the person eye to eye, you just calm them down and just tell them, I trust you, whatever, if it's Jan or if it's John or whatever it is, just say, just stay with me, look at me, just kind of, follow me. I will follow your form. And I completely trust in you that you will be able to do exactly what you can do. And I think that's where power of the coaching, in any industry comes to, that they don't have maybe those muscles in the beginning to trust, themselves. You are the one who calms them and helps them. Not that they become like you become their crutch, or something, but you are really helping them in the beginning to develop that sense of confidence and self-trust, picking on the things that they do right, just that's what is so amazing, just that coach looks and listens, and really, whatever is happening is not only like picking on the things that are wrong, but just kind of, finding the things where your client just kind of, really starts to shine, and really build those up. They realize, oh, yeah, I could do this, and just really be, and talk about it. Like, I love the way you just kind of, stood up. I love the way you pick up the weights. I love the way just kind of that you, did, 8 reps, instead of 15, how you kind of, really treated yourself on honor where you are. It's just like, we need to start meet people where they are and really acknowledge them for that, because many times just kind of, that's just kind of doesn't happen. But I think that a great coach, any coach, if it's a trainer or life coach, is that like you listen, you look, you really are just completely like, when I'm in a client, it's just the client and me, nothing else matters. My phone is off, I just, we have 45 minutes or an hour, it's nothing else matters. Okay. I'm totally tuned into that person and helping and seeing them, what's happening, and just kind of, guiding them through. Because the ultimate way how we can help others is so that they can help themselves. You are all just kind of, what you are doing is not that they will be still leaning on you for the rest of their lives, but you are actually slowly developing skills for them, that they can trust themselves, that they can be the ones that can just kind of then support themselves. And for some people, it's a very fast process. For other people, it takes a little bit longer time. But I think a coach can be absolutely an incredible, just kind of life changer for, a person who is really looking for transformation.
Yeah. Nice. Well said. Well, I got my money's worth. We can end it now. No, I'm just kidding.
I love that, Olga. And I think maybe we could teach people to do that for themselves, because I feel like the conversation that a lot of people have in their heads as they're exercising, especially if they don't consider themselves an athlete, or if they're trying to make any kind of change in their lives with how they sleep, how they eat, or just how they relate to other people, whatever the change is. There's this negative tape running in their head, and they're like, I'm not good at this. Why can't I do this like I did when I was 19 years old? And so sometimes the comparison is with their old selves, not with other people, but with what they used to be able to do. That can be a struggle too. So how would you suggest that people change this pattern of thinking when they're trying to do something that they consider themselves not good at, whatever the skill or the change is, but they find themselves getting caught in that trap of that train of thought, like, oh, I'm just not good at this. And they're just kind of stuck in that rut.
Yeah, well, I would just kind of, ask, what do you mean you are not good at? What that really means, because it means something different from everybody else.
Okay.
And so first it's just, like, what does that mean? I am not good enough at this, and what does it mean to be good enough?
Okay.
Because it's just kind of like, for one person, good enough is totally something different than for somebody else, that is sitting and standing next to them. So I think that sometimes, people have this, like old beliefs running just kind of through their, brains, and they don't even know what they are saying, so it's just like sitting down and really, sit down for 5-10 minutes and just kind of, what do you mean by that I'm not good enough? Like, I cannot do this as good as Arnold, what is his name? Schwarzenegger or something, it's just, again, just kind of, you are studying. This is your perfect time. It doesn't matter if you are 15 or 75. You are today here, and this is your perfect time. And just kind of, help them to understand, that it doesn't matter when people start taking care of their bodies. What is really important, that they kind of realize and came to the point in their lives that they really need to move, because if they don't, they will just kind of be just, a little sack of a potato and having more and more issues, so just acknowledge and tell them, you are here. And that's your start. Today is your day one. You don't look back. You don't look forward 10 years. You are now here. And let's see what we can kind of, create today, And again, just, help people to understand that, any comparison to the past is just like, I was just talking to somebody the other day, and, she has a speech just kind of, issue, because she fell down and, somehow she hit part of the, brain that really just, impacted, her talk. And people think like my life is over because I have to speak slower, and I started talking to them, and I was just telling them, there is actually a blessing when you can slow down, because people will be listening to you much more intently. Okay. And so, and it was just, anything that is given to us can be turned as just kind of our gift. It's just like, we sometimes don't see it. And as we went through the coaching session, she was just blown away, realizing like, okay, this is a challenge, but it can actually be a blessing. I can you can communicate with people different ways than just only with the speech. You can hug people, you can look at people. There are different ways. And so the same thing is starting just kind of, your fitness journey, right? It's just like celebrating that you are here. You are just kind of, at this place, Progressive Athletics. This is your day one of your new life. And it doesn't mean that you are going to run like marathon runner, but today, this is what we will do. And we will only look just kind of what we can do today. And I think that's what is just kind of really important, just, with the new clients, are staying present and celebrating what we can do rather than what we cannot do yet. And when we will never, ever do that, okay? Let's focus what we can do today, and celebrate that. And see just kind of in today's training, as I go with you, as we are going to do these squats or whatever that is, just let's meet after the session and just kind of talk about what worked, what we can celebrate.
That's great. I'm pumped.
Me
I'm
too.
pumped. I'm ready to go, Olga. I'm ready. Awesome. So, so far you've mentioned obstacles of the I am not good enough. You want to cure that. Learning to honor yourself, staying in the present, learning to feel things without trying to avoid them, learning that feelings alone are not going to kill us. Very good. Are there any other obstacles that you run into quite frequently with people?
The problem is that people just don't understand what the word commitment is. You know, because everything in a life, when we want to create something remarkable, comes just kind of, you know, to really the word of, you know, of commitment. And if I find it here, if I have it close by, I had something that I wanted to share with you, but I don't know. Okay. There is this book. It's a short, just kind of a paragraph. It's from W.H. Murray, and it's from the Scottish Himalayan expedition. So it was someone who was climbing just kind of, you know, Kilimanjaro, right? And, you know, this guy who has been guide to these tours and to people who just kind of do on this, I mean, one of the ultimate just kind of, you know, quests, you know, to climb the tallest mountain, you know, in the world. He just says, quote, until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. The moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents, meetings, and material assistance, which no man could have dreamt would have come his or her way. And I think this is just kind of, you know, to me, really amazing that when there is a true commitment, like, why do I want to be healthy? Because people say, you know what, I really want to come because I need to move. Why? Why do you want to move? You know, we need to find just kind of people's biggest why, what it is, because if people don't have why big enough, they are not capable then make a commitment that it's big enough, okay? And as I said, just kind of, you know, in this quote, you know, as I was reading it, just kind of, when the why is big enough and I can really then make a commitment, suddenly things start to just kind of, you know, lining up. If I do have that a huge commitment, I will try to find a place to go exercise. I will try to find a coach. I will look for a nutritionist who can help me. I will connect with other people who just kind of, you know, have done something similar. You know what I mean? That, like it said here, that just kind of, you know, like, you know, suddenly just kind of, you know, things, you know, and people will start coming up to you, you know, because you are starting lining up at the level and vortex of commitment that, you know, other people who have accomplished something, you know, remarkably in their life, they really live, you know, and that's our whole life is like. We either just kind of, you know, while keeping the spiral of the vortex of just kind of being around people who are lifting us up, or we are living in the vortex, you know, of energy and people who will be always pulling us down. But the major work is really the commitment, that when we made the commitment, you know, there is just kind of like, I don't, you know, like discuss with myself to take a shower daily or to exercise daily. For me, it's like brushing teeth. Do you know that when I get up and just kind of, you know, what the first thought, oh, maybe today we will skip because, you know, last night, you know, we went a little bit later on to the bed and stuff like that. And I'm always like, thank you, brain, but no, thank you. And I just get up, hit a shower and do my practice, you know, do my exercise, you know, because that's going to be always there. But it's just kind of, I have a commitment, you know, to myself that is just, you know, it's just like there is no excuse unless, of course, I'm sick and I cannot do that, but it's just kind of, we wake up with this every day. You get excited to start going to the gym, and you are fine first 2-3 days or first week, and then the second week hits and you are like, my muscle hurts here, and maybe I'll take just kind of a rest for 1 or 2 days. No, it's just like you keep going, it's just the boring work that we do daily on our bodies is the most transformational work that we do. People call it boring, but it's just showing up yourself no matter what, So, I think it goes back to that work that I told you, like how to really just, create that commitment that, that if you do, what you want to accomplish, if you do daily, if you apply yourself, that is going to just kind of, create a result that you really want to have. If it's a health or losing pounds or be more functional or whatever it is.
I love all that, Olga. I really love what you said about commitment, because I see that too all the time. I see a difference between those who commit and those who are waiting for something to happen before they commit. They're like, oh, well, if this works, then I'll commit to it. But they're doing it backwards. They're trying to do it backwards.
Yes, and I mean, that never worked. If you look just kind of, in a history of people, look just kind of, like Edison. Do you know how many times he failed just kind of developing the light bulb?
Yeah.
10,000 times. 10,000 times. So it didn't work. First, second, third, and he just got, after 100 times, he says, I'm done. This is not working. No, he kept going and going and going, and he created the result. And really people who are, and so what was it? It was commitment, He knew that he just was up to something that, he wanted to figure out, and he did. Failure is just kind of, it's a feeling, it's really a feeling. Failure is a feeling, I failed. That's great. It means that it didn't work, this way. Let's look what didn't work and try something else. And it still might not have worked. It might work better. And we said, okay, this was better. Still it's not working. Okay, let's look at it. How can we? So it's kind of like a daily creation, right? You just kind of also with your body. So, and many times people just kind of, I like that. They just kind of fail and they just say, oh, this is not working for me. No, it's just kind of, it's okay. It's working. It just, there were certain parts that didn't work. So let's look at it from a different angle.
Yeah. They need to just get curious.
Yeah. I mean, being uncomfortable is a currency of growth.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like that's, and that's, with fitness, this is really important. Not being in a pain, by being uncomfortable physically, mentally, emotionally, and still just kind of, it's a currency of your growth.
So that's how they know they're on the right track, if they're uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you will have some, just you guys, you can share with me, you have some days that you are totally pumped up and happy to be in a gym, right? But the rest of the week you do it because, it's my commitment. I'm a coach.
Yeah.
I am example to myself what's possible, and I'm example for others what's possible. It's just not negotiable for you. You are doing it because it's important to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Yeah, love it. So we need to commit. I love how you said that things start to line up. Once you make that commitment, then people start to show up in your life. And I really think, in my opinion, when you make that commitment, it is a mind shift, because you start to think of, well, how can I make this happen? Instead of, I can't. Once you make that commitment, then you're like, all right, well then, since I'm going to do this, how am I going to make it happen?
Right.
So
just
really
always, always keeping the mind open, because, that's the hardest thing, about, and again, we are going back to the power of thoughts, I mean, it's just like, you can choose either thing this is not working. Well, how does that feel? That feels pretty crappy. When you feel pretty crappy, what do? Oh, I'm going to eat the, like bag of potatoes and watching Netflix, right? And the result is that I haven't progressed anything anywhere, not going anywhere, and I don't work. Not it doesn't work, but I am not working, myself is not working as a result,
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yep, I love that. Okay, so let's see. So are there any other tips or strategies that you would give to somebody who wants to start making a change? The first step is often the hardest, like you're on the couch or you're just stuck in this pattern of whatever you're doing every day, watching TV too much or going to bed really late or whatever it is, and you're in that rut of your life. What would you recommend to people to just make that first step, to just break that cycle?
Lynette, that's really a great question, and it's so individual for each person, okay? And honestly, there are people, they get awakened to a life, on a higher purpose, or just, getting themselves in a shape. And it comes either just, as an inspiration, they read a book, or just they have someone who inspires them or something like that. But ultimately, it's just kind of, up to really each person, because we have a free agency, okay? And unless people really are moved in a certain way inside, they are not going to do anything. And what I mean by that is, you have some people who are moved because just kind of their condition is such that they know if they are going to continue just, do what they have been doing, that they will die. I mean, people just kind of sometimes people need to be threatened, by their own just kind of circumstance. And you have a lot of people, oh, I got diabetes, so now I have to start. So you have a group people who just kind of get awakened by a bad news from a doctor, okay? Then you have people who just never ever, even if they have a bad news, they just kind of, sometimes give up on themselves. You have a lot of people like that. You just kind of, they can have anybody else next to them and talking to them how important it is and whatever it is. It's just like, it's always the movement needs to come from within. And so, the first step is just recognizing just kind of, like, how, happy I am, the way I'm living, and if you are happy and you are 300 pounds and you are in front of the TV and that's your thing, be it. That's your thing, okay? But if you realize, there is something that is missing and I am not just kind of, fully, fulfilled. Let's just kind of, see what that is, and look at just kind of, at the areas of the lives, because many times, sometimes the fitness doesn't start necessarily just people getting them in the gym, okay? It can start completely from a different place. People have problems with finances. And as they are trying to just kind of take care of their financial issue, suddenly, other things click and other things click. It's always combination. Relationships, our career, okay, our spiritual, and mental well-being. So there are different areas of our lives, and the awakening to our body sometimes doesn't come, unfortunately, just kind of like, hey, I should go to the gym, So it's kind of, for each person, it's a little bit individual journey, and also for each person, it's a little bit something different, what fills them, up, meaning just, some people will like to do karates. Other people love to lift weights. It's just like everybody's a little bit different. Like some people love dance, but it's just like, finding out what would that be. Other people like to swim, and they go swimming every single day. So I think just kind of, going back to your question, what could be just kind of their first step? The thing is just kind of, it's, the first thing I would have, it's a question. How just kind of, happy and content I am where I am. And the second question is, what do you think I need? What do I need? Just kind of, what do I think I need to just kind of, move forward? And the third thing is, like, who would be the person I can trust and talk about this? Does this person have someone that, they might be looking up to, or just talking to somebody? So those would be really the things, for someone who just absolutely just, is somewhere completely lost, and just looking, and searching for, some sort of awakening, in their lives. Because I have seen many times that, I would be working with people on the relationship issue, and it brings them, into the gym and working out. Not that necessarily they need to lose weight, or anything, but they definitely feel much better confidence and just kind of feel much more energy during the day. They are much more in control of their lives, but we started completely, working on a different area. Or you might start with somebody with nutrition, and as they start losing the weight, they realize, wow, I realized when I started walking and just, the pounds started going down, So, I don't know if it answers, the question, but it's just kind of like, how to find a door, right, to myself that is just kind of talking, that it's just, appealing to me, and just where I feel like, yeah, that's a place where I really want to start, and that lifts me up.
I love that. I love these 3 questions, because I think these could be helpful whenever you need to make any kind of pivot.
Yeah.
Is what I'm doing now working for me? Am I happy with it? Number 2, what do I think I need moving forward? And number 3, who can I trust to talk to about this?
Yeah.
I think that's a really good process.
Yeah.
So.
And that's why I think, you guys as coaches, I think, I'll tell you something, coaching is for a highly functional people. Okay. We are not, I'm doing life coaching, you are doing fitness coaching, but this is for really highly functioning people. That's what's the difference between the therapy, going to the therapist, and to going to, for instance, to the life coach. To therapy, people go to deal with the past. Okay. With life coach or fitness coach, we are moving into the future. We are moving people somewhere, into the place, into the future where they want to be. And we are looking just kind of for some obstacles that are just kind of on their way, that are just keeping them from moving forward. Okay. And I think it's phenomenal. And it's just kind of, we are entering just kind of, this new century. I feel like everybody should have a coach, because, coach is different from a friend or different from a spouse. Because if you have a great coach, the coach is someone who just kind of is, I would call it, outside of the pool. The client is swimming in that river of misery, whatever that is. And you as a coach are outside of the pool, okay? In order just kind of, to coach them. You are not jumping with them and saying out to friends, says, oh, I know this hurts and this is things and this is so bad, it doesn't help anybody. It's just kind of, you're just kind of swimming with them. But the coach is looking just kind of, aside, and is helping there to see just kind of the whole woods, instead, simple trees, and problems, and just, I think that is just so important, just kind of going forward for young people, and for anybody else, that, really just kind of being able to just move forward, because many times we just kind of, we are blind to see our own thing. And then we talk to someone who can kind of look a little bit just from a side, you know, at the issue and gives us completely new perspective. And we are like, whoa, I didn't even think about it that way, you know? And so I think it's powerful, and you can see that the term coach has been just, you know, on social media quite a lot in different just, you know, areas of the life. But honestly, I think it's just think about it, you know, all the amazing just kind of football teams and other things that we have had in the past here in the United States. I mean, the coaches, they literally changed, you know, lives of these young kids who became professional, you know, athletes, right? And many times when they speak, it's just not only about that, but how they, you know, how they change their lives, who they become as a person, right? So there is a power. You are working with their bodies. I work with their minds or whatever. I work with their spines. But really, the ultimate work is just kind of, you know, you are helping somebody to become completely elevated and better human being for themselves. And therefore, they can much better serve in the world and offer much better, you know, service to other people as well.
Love it. Thank you so much, Olga. That was great. I think that's a good place for us to end. But before we end, I have our last question for you. And this doesn't have to be fitness related. It could be anything in your life. But what are 3 things that elevate your life?
Oh, I love this. 1 minute cold shower every single morning. So after I take a shower, I just kind of, you know, have 1 minute, just completely cold shower. Fantastic. Not easy, but it feels absolutely amazing. Okay. Of course, you can work yourself to 5 minutes, but you can start with maybe 30 seconds first. But that's just kind of, you know, that wakes me up, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally. It's just absolutely fantastic thing. Okay. So of course, people will think she's crazy, but, you know, I love it. Okay. The second kind of, you know, thing that I really feel that elevates my life is any heartfelt conversation with another human being.
Oh, I love that.
If I just kind of, you know, go through the day and I can have, like, this is it for me today, you guys. This elevates just kind of my life. We just have had, you know, this heartfelt conversation, you know, with each other, right? And the third thing is just kind of, you know, blessing someone who just kind of is not nice to me. So I'll explain that, okay? You know, many times when somebody cuts us off, you know, on a highway or just whatever, we can get so mad. And I used to be like that, but, you know, I was reading, you know, this book. It's called I think it's called The Art of the Blessings. And it's just from an author, Pierre, I just forgot what his name is. But anyway, this whole book is just kind of, you know, about how to create a relationship and healthy relationship with ourselves so that we can actually have a good relationship with other people. And I have learned from that book how really important is just realize, well, I don't know why this person cut me off. Maybe they are really just kind of, you know, driving to the hospital to see their wife who is delivering their baby or whatever, or they are simply whatever they are. But it's just kind of, you know, like, I'm just kind of, you know, like when something happens like today, it happened to me actually in a parking lot, you know, I was in a parking lot. I was just kind of, you know, pulling out of the parking lot and just kind of, you know, going out, and there was this other car that just, you know, you could feel the energy of the drivers, right? Where somebody is mad, you know? And so I was just like, you know, I just kind of paused, let the person just kind of go through. And I was just like, I am blessing you. I don't know what's happening just kind of today, but I hope that you just kind of, you know, can feel just kind of this action of, you know, because definitely I just kind of paused. I smiled, you know, they didn't smile back at me at all. And it doesn't matter, but it's just kind of, you know, like really, that's what lifts my life up. That just, I don't know exactly what happens, if anything happens, just kind of, you know, good with them, but I just kind of blessing really someone who is not just nice to me. Okay. And I just do it inwardly, not just kind of, telling them, but I just kind of, I'm blessing you so that you really have the rest of the day much better than you have it now. Okay. Or something like that. So 1 minute cold shower, a heartfelt conversation with another human being, and just kind of, blessing someone who is not nice to me.
That's amazing. I love that. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Well, you have definitely elevated us today, Olga. Thank you so much for taking time out to talk to us today.
You guys too. You are amazing, and your work is just absolutely exceptional. It's just, really, it was such an honor. Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Lynette, for inviting me.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for coming on, Olga. Well, we wish you the best. And for people who are interested in possibly connecting with you, where can they find you?
Okay, yes, my website is olgacampora.com, OLGACAMP as a Peter, ORA, olgacampora.com.
All right. Perfect. Perfect. All right, Olga. Well, we appreciate it. And have a good rest of your week. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
right.
Thank you.
Bye.